proud to have that German blood. There's no question about it. Great stuff.
I'm not here to tell you to buy American Eagle jeans.
Those jeans!
And I definitely won't say that they're the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn.
If you believe in jeans, some do, some don't.
Or that they make your butt look amazing.
A lot of it's about the jeans, isn't it? Don't you believe?
Why would I need to do that?
Tell me about jeans.
But if you said that you want to buy the jeans,
It's good jeans. You have good jeans.
I'm not going to stop you.
Really fantastic jeans.
Genes are passed down from parents to offspring,
Gotta have like the best jeans in the world.
often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color.
You have good jeans, you know that, right? You have good jeans.
My jeans are blue.
And if you believe in jeans, you gotta go with those jeans. You can't get any better.
Sydney Sweeney has good jeans.
There you go. Big American car. I mean, big engine sound, etc. Starting early with the Nazi propaganda. I think her butt's okay. It's not perfect. Jeans are definitely not skinny anymore, though, huh? It's funny how trends change. Those jeans, they're not so skinny anymore. They're pretty wide through the leg and kind of loose fitting, actually. Well, I saw her walk like here. They're like pretty loose through the legs, pretty loose through the butt, too. Her butt's okay. It's not perfect. I mean, it's pretty good. The more appealing thing is that she's got the Nazi genes, the blonde hair and the blue eyes. That's what's more impressive, just like our fearless leader, Donald Trump. But here, there's the butt, but there's the loose legs. So those are back in style now, which is good because I got some loose leg fitting jeans now on too. So I'm glad those are back in style. It's good to hold on to your jeans because they'll come back around. We've gone through many phases of jeans, those of us who have been around a long time. I remember when I was getting married, I pulled out my old suit. It wasn't in fashion anymore. I thought it was going to be cool because it was like Hugo Boss and it was from when I used to sell cars and stuff, but styles change and it wasn't skinny through the leg at all. And that was what was in style at the time, was things that were more skinny through the leg. I don't think it would be in style now either. I think I've lost that suit now. So Graham is saying 8.5 out of 10. Yeah, sure. No, she's good. She's good. Yeah, she's solid. Solid American style. Good butt, etc. So good jeans. So we have news today. There was a giant earthquake. Huge. Like one of the 10 biggest. And somebody predicted it too. I saw Tim Pool talking about that. Somebody predicted it based on astrophysics or whatever they call it, star watching. Somebody actually predicted that there would be a big earthquake with a tsunami. So there was a giant earthquake, but the tsunami didn't really materialize. They said it might even go all the way to California, but something came, and then Hawaii, they had people evacuate and everything. There was some video from it. I don't have any of the video from it because it wasn't that remarkable, but that's not what we're covering in the stories today. We have a news story from CBS News who did a long, 10-minute report, and you guys have to tell me if I can play the whole thing. There's they did a long report on the video. I think I can probably only play you a little bit of it, where they analyzed everything. And they said that definitely that the results are inconclusive. So much so that there might have been another inmate caught on camera going up into Jeffrey Epstein's cell. There's someone, it looks like maybe somebody with an orange jumpsuit on, going up the stairs that lead to his cell, and being the last thing that would have gone up the stairs towards his cell before he was found dead. So that report is in the news. So I'll show you guys that. I'll show you that. That's the lead story. today. So we have that. We have, and I'll show you, Ghislaine Maxwell is asking for full immunity. I have like Bernie Sanders squirming, being asked about whether he thinks she should get full immunity. I have another thing with jeans, another ad for Dunkin' Donuts with another white person talking about jeans. So we have that story in the news. I have, there was the shooting. I have Israel news where everybody has turned on Israel except for our Pentagon, basically, who will still continue to support Israel. So we're in a situation right now where the countries we're aligned with are all aligned against us. So we are not making friends by being friends with Israel and not stopping them from doing what they're doing. But there are a lot of people still, Israelis and Jewish people, who still think it's all a big hoax and that Hamas is the one responsible for everything. And we're blaming Hamas. We're still blaming Hamas for the fact that journalists aren't allowed in there and so forth. So I have different news on that. I have Piers Morgan, who has actually done a 180 on it, apparently. Now he believes that Israel is actually perpetrating atrocities. So we're waiting for a false flag, or an actual terrorist attack, because we're the ones supporting the ongoing. I mean, there are people genuinely in Israel who are calling it a genocide now. But Donald Trump is on record saying, well, they don't want to give up the hostages for logical reasons, because if they give up the hostages, then Israel will just continue to annihilate them and drive them out of the country. So, Graham says Oprah wouldn't open her road in Hawaii. Yeah, that was a news story. Oprah's got some kind of private road in Hawaii where people were trying to evacuate and couldn't go up Oprah's road. That's a news story. Yeah, it was a big story last night. 8.8. One of the 10 biggest earthquakes since 1900, but it didn't do any damage, hardly. Just a little bit of damage in Russia, some kindergarten or something, a wall fell down, but that's about it. So anyway, I have that news. Zuckerberg's made an announcement today about superintelligence and what he's planning to do with it, making it a tool for everyone rather than something that oversees everyone and then people get distributed to. Still listening to a lot of stuff about AI. AI is advancing very quickly. It's the biggest revolution ever in human history. It's exponential growth and it's going to take over everything, AI and robots. So we're continuing to follow that. I'll read you Mark Zuckerberg's letter about personal superintelligence and tell you what Zuckerberg's doing over there at Meta. I have a few stories from the shooting. Zoran Mamdani came out and is talking about gun control. That story is a little weird. That story, the guy actually there was like a conspiracy theory for a second that the guy who shot up the building in New York was going after who he ended up killing someone in charge of Blackstone real estate. And people were pointing out that Blackstone bought up all the property during the pandemic and then raised rent on everybody. We continue to have inflation, mostly inflation in rent and housing costs. So there was a theory that because this is one of the people that this guy killed, was this Blackstone executive who oversaw their real estate empire. Blackstone's been buying up private property and renting it to people and then raising their rent. And so there was a theory that that's what he was after. Apparently he was after the NFL because he thought he had brain damage from playing football. What do they call it? CTE. And he shot himself in the chest, allegedly, even though he had a long gun. well, regardless with a long gun, it's hard to shoot yourself with, but he shot himself in the chest, allegedly, because he wanted them to examine his brain. He left a note, I guess. So he left a note that said he had some kind of brain damage from playing football. And so he went there specifically because it's the NFL building. And that's who he was after. Guess he didn't know what floor they were on or anything, because he didn't end up killing anybody from the NFL. But he thought he had brain damage from that. And then as far as gun control goes, I'll play you the clip of, it is weird that he had a history of mental illness and is allowed to have a gun and was allowed to have a concealed carry permit. That is weird, because in certain places, at least if you have certain kinds of mental illness, or if you've ever been taken in for being a danger to yourself or others, they take away your right to own a gun. At least that's what happens here in California. If you get taken in on 5150, being a danger to yourself or others, they'll say you can't own a gun for 5 years and it'll show up on a background check. So I can relate to people who have that argument, at least. In as much as it was a mentally ill person with a super lethal firearm who went in and killed people and then killed himself. So Graham says the only thing that prohibits gun ownership is schizophrenia and bipolar. Well, even bipolar doesn't exactly. You can even be bipolar and still get a gun. It's like you have to be on a list to not be able to get a gun. So you're still able to get a gun with most mental illnesses, including depression and stuff. And mostly you're a danger to yourself. Most of the deaths, I think, well, I don't know for sure. I think most deaths by firearm are probably self-inflicted. And we do have a suicide epidemic here. It's one of the leading causes of death. So, although not as bad as in some other countries. Some Asian countries, I think, are worse, like Japan and South Korea. So, but, and when they say kids are killed by guns, mostly it's them killing themselves. Mostly it's suicide. So it's always misleading because they say there's like a violence epidemic, as if people are being killed in school shootings. They're usually killing themselves. And you could argue that they might do it to themselves another way if there wasn't a gun. Although a gun is definitely the most convenient, it seems like. So let me play my intro since we're 12 minutes in. Let me play my intro. We'll get started watching videos and stuff. All right. Thanks for joining me for the show. Appreciate you guys being here. Okay, cue musical intro. Boy, that's brilliant. I do think some things in the world are real. Like you guys. You guys are real. Most of you. Most of my listeners, I think, are not just in my head. I think I have the metrics to prove it. You've taken a leap of faith today. What is that sound? And I apologize if you take offense. I'm a little offended myself. Welcome to our show. Welcome to the future. What it is, joining you live from sunny California. It's a beautiful day today. I'm your host, Nathan Stoltman. And I bring you the news, the real news. Yes, I'll maybe even bring you some alien news today. There's an alien news story going around, so I'll show you that. Let me show you this other thing about genetics. Here's another story about good genes. I'll show you this. Dunkin' Donuts.
I didn't ask to be the king of summer. It just kind of happened. This tan? Genetics. I just got my color analysis back. Guess what? Golden summer. Literally. I can't help it. Every time I drink a Dunkin' Golden Hour refresher, it's like the sun just finds me. So if sipping these refreshers makes me the king of summer, guilty as charged.
There you go. Full Nazi. Blue eyes. White.
The Golden Hour refresher. Only.
There you go. Apparently some people are thinking about banning Dunkin' Donuts now. All right, I showed you that. Let me show you. Let me show you this stuff about Epstein, and I'll just get into it right away. So they've analyzed the video. CBS did a big story about it. It came out yesterday. They did 10 minutes of video about it. So I'll show you. I don't think I can show you the full thing. So I'm going to show you like, I don't know, 2 minutes of it. Let me see. I'll start here. I'll start at like 2 minutes. Well, I'll start like 2 minutes in. Then we'll see. There you go. This shows the view. The view is no good. Oops. Got to reshare it. So the view they had is no good from the camera. And then I don't understand any of it. They said the cameras went out originally and that the guards were sleeping originally. So it seems like the story has changed. Here's an analysis of it, though. I'll play some of
That
this.
camera captured part of the common area, including the officer's station and a sliver of the staircase leading to Epstein's cell. The footage begins at 7:40 p.m. the night before Epstein's death. You can see staff and inmates moving about, preparing for the nightly lockdown. That's the officer's station in the background. Only 2 employees have been publicly identified. Tova Noel, a corrections officer pulling a double shift that began at 4 p.m., and Michael Thomas, a materials handler who won't arrive until midnight. Epstein is seen for the first and only time on camera at 7:49 p.m. when the Department of Justice said he was escorted to his cell from another wing of the unit. It's important to note here, you don't actually see Epstein ascend the stairwell to his cell block. Remember what Dan Bongino said.
There's video clear as day. He's the only person in there and the only person coming out. You can see it.
Let's zoom in and play that again in slow motion. Here's the sliver of stairs. Epstein is here with his escort, and they walk off screen. When the FBI released the video, they said anyone entering or attempting to enter the tier where Epstein's cell was located from the common area would have been captured by this footage. But with the primary entrance here, the pathway from the entrance to the stairs is completely out of view of the camera. For the next hour or so, corrections officers and inmates are seen moving about, preparing for all prisoners to be locked down. At 8:21, another inmate is seen being escorted toward the stairs leading to Epstein's cell area. No movement is detected on the stairs again. By 8:24, all of the inmates appear to have been taken to their cells. Noel told the inspector general she visited Epstein's cell at about 10 p.m. You can see her head in that direction here, albeit closer to 10:30, but not climb the stairs. The rules require rounds to be made every 30 minutes, but according to the report, this was the only time anyone checked on the inmates that night. There was even a sign printed on orange paper posted on the guard station saying mandatory rounds must be conducted every 30 minutes on Epstein, as per God. This was because of concerns about his risk for suicide. At 10:38 p.m., the report says someone, probably Noel, carries a bundle of bedding or clothing up the stairs. It's a rare instance the video does catch movement on the stairs, but barely. Let's see that zoomed in and in slow motion again. Several of the video forensic experts we spoke with were skeptical about the report's conclusion and thought that the video could be showing an inmate walking up the stairs. Authorities say this was the last time anyone approached his cell block until his body was discovered the next morning. Again, while the video does not contradict that, experts who viewed the video say the limited field of view makes it impossible to definitively conclude that no one used those stairs in that time period.
So there you go. That's about the main part of it to me. It looks like it could be an inmate walking up to his cell, basically. So the evidence that they released doesn't conclusively show what they say. Basically, that's it. And CBS News is reporting on that. The Daily Beast is reporting on it. So that's the news. And that's the analysis. So basically, he didn't commit suicide, or he did commit suicide, supposedly officially. But now they're saying officially, and they show sections of it where there's a mouse cursor over the screen. showing that it wasn't the original footage. The footage was edited together from 2 pieces of video. So all kinds of questions about the Epstein stuff. It's still coming out. And then the latest thing from Trump is weird, where Trump finally said it was because Epstein was taking people from his spa, young girls from his spa. And he didn't like that. So thanks, Lawrence. Dig into the NYC MK Ultra hit. I was already talking about that earlier. I think you showed up later. I know he went to the 33rd floor. I know. I'll cover that next. I'll cover the news from that next. But he said he had brain damage. He did go to the 33rd floor. That was weird. He said he had brain damage. He was going after the NFL because of brain damage he got from playing football because he was a good football player. So that's the official story, at least. But I'll give you that news next, just because you asked. All right, let me just, since we're on Epstein news, Ghislaine Maxwell has agreed to give congressional testimony if she gets immunity and after the Supreme Court hears her case, which won't be able to happen until October. So it's going to be a long way off. And, Donald Trump says that he's happy now. They've released now that Donald Trump is happy that he's consolidated his base and that the Epstein news has basically gone away. So he's pretty content that he thinks the Epstein news is dried up for now and that it doesn't have legs anymore. Anyway, here's Bernie Sanders squirming when asked about Ghislaine Maxwell testifying.
Would you be okay with Congress giving her immunity to testify? That's what she wants.
I haven't thought about it. I don't know the answer to that.
No position.
You're the first person who has asked me about it.
Okay. Well, when you have a position, will you let us know?
You'll be the first.
Senator Bernie Sanders, we always appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
There you go. So there's Bernie being asked about it. Squirmy. People thought that was a little odd. So she might be revealing information. She would have already revealed information in these other interviews. If so, they said she talked about 100 different names. So they might have more information from her. The only thing is, I'll continue to go back to this, is I don't know if they can release any names of people who are alleged perpetrators without giving people a chance to defend themselves if they're not being prosecuted. So that's the difficulty. If there are just names that are implied without them actually bringing a case against people and charging people, it will be very difficult to release names, whether it's from grand jury testimony or from Ghislaine Maxwell's conversations. So anyway, so that's the Epstein news. Trump is apparently happy with how his polls are and that he's consolidated his base and that the news has settled down. So anyway, here's some news about the shooting, where people in the shooting originally were saying that the guy was saying free Palestine. So this is a clip that shows this guy who is telling the media that the guy was saying free Palestine when he went in, and he could have been some kind of Zionist plant or something. That's the implication. So, or some kind of Mossad plant. So check this out.
And I don't know if it was political. I did see one of the shooters had a free Palestine shirt on. I'm not sure if there's any validity to that, but if that's the case, then rhetoric doesn't play a part in this. So just have to take that into consideration. No problem at all.
Wait, you said a suspect had a free Palestine shirt on?
I saw one of the guys getting arrested. He had a free Palestine shirt on.
Was it this dude in this picture? This dude was another.
No, it wasn't that guy. It was another guy.
So there's two guys now?
I think it was two guys, yeah. That's what I heard. It was definitely politically motivated.
You don't think it's a false flag? It could be, someone staging an event to try to place blame?
No. I don't believe that shit. Yeah, false flags and all that. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I think it's just a bunch of guys just want to send a message or whatever. Or
Update at this time, the scene has been contained and the lone shooter has been neutralized. So it's one guy, not two. He was just saying there was two guys with a free Palestine shirt. And now it's one guy based off the NYPD. But now they're saying it's one, the lone shooter. So who's the Free Palestine guy?
Lots of questions, man. Inside job.
Right. There you go. There you go. People spreading disinfo at the scene, trying to say it's Free Palestine. I have to tell you about the new censor at TikTok. Where is that clip? The new censor at TikTok. Do I have that clip? I'll show you that too. Here's Mom Donnie talking about gun control right away at the memorial.
And as New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs and Americans across the country mourn this mass shooting, we are reminded that no matter how strong our gun laws are in this state, we are only as safe as the weakest laws in this nation. And so in this moment, the onus is on all of us to follow the words of Alain's brother and to put forward a vision of stronger gun laws. And I echo the call from Governor Hochul for a nationwide ban on assault rifles, as it is horrifying to each and every one of us in this room and beyond that a man with such documented mental health struggles was able to purchase a weapon, leave alone a weapon of such devastating capability.
There you go.
And as New Yorkers,
so he's already talked about gun control. I heard he's ahead in the polls. Just we'll have to see how that goes. Government-run grocery stores don't go very well, but I don't think those will actually take effect if he gets in there. He'd have to raise taxes, and he can't do that without the governor and without the legislature. So, but he is going to be a fun punching bag for people on the right and people on the left who don't like him. And all the stuff he said about Black Lives Matter and social workers being police officers and defund the police. He said that too. So not going that well for him, but apparently he's going to win. Anyway, I was speaking of the Free Palestine thing. I was saying that young people in particular are turning distinctly anti-Israel, along with pretty much everybody. But a lot of it is because of, since the rebirth of free speech with Elon Musk taking over Twitter and with TikTok opening up, people see lots of clips of people who used to be controversial and totally banned, people like Nick Fuentes. Those clips are going around everywhere, and young people are being exposed to different views than they were able to be exposed to before. A lot of them about Jewish power and about Israel's influence in the U.S. government. Anyway, TikTok, who we hate, right? And if there's things that we don't like elite universities and like TikTok and stuff, you can kind of think it goes back to anti-Semitism. If the government is trying to control speech, it pretty much always goes back to anti-Semitism with this government. If the government is trying to control speech, they're trying to control anti-Semitism. So RT is pointing out that this is the new hate speech manager at TikTok, who is a former Biden advisor, a former IDF instructor, and a committed Zionist. And this is a clip of her in the past. So this is the new hate speech manager of TikTok. And remember, we don't like TikTok because it's Chinese, supposedly. But I suggest there might be other reasons. Anyway, this is her.
In the summer of 2014, after my sophomore year, like many of my friends, I had a summer internship, a Goldman Fellowship at AJC. I came to work each morning as Israel engaged in one of the larger military operations of my lifetime, Tzuk Eitan, Operation Protective Edge. That summer, I realized how impactful my Jewish upbringing and education was. I simultaneously realized how passionate my own Zionist identity had become. I knew the well-being of Jews worldwide and the security of Israel would be issues of lifelong importance to me. I grew up in a traditional Jewish household, but in an untraditional decision, after graduating from Michigan, I made Aliyah and enlisted in the Israel Defense Forces. I spent the next 2 years serving as a Madrichat Shirion, an instructor in the Armored Corps. To many, this might seem like a contradiction. For a woman who identifies as liberal and progressive to be a Zionist so committed as to join the IDF, for me, these two identities go hand in hand. My American, Israeli, Jewish progressive identity is complex and layered, and it's full of rich Jewish values. It is my own, but connected to my parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents' experiences. My identity was shaped by my upbringing, but cemented by my life experiences and my own decisions. It's defined by me alone, but still connected to the modern world in which I live and to the greater Jewish story that has spanned generations. I'm a proud American Jew.
There you go. So there's a nice clip of her from the American Jewish Committee. So that's the new head of hate speech on TikTok. So, and remember what this government wants to control. This government wants to crack down on anti-Semitism in universities. And now you're going to be looking at it on TikTok as well. Though kind of cat's out of the bag, I have to say. But I'll play you more stuff about that. All right. Since we're halfway through the show, hey, if you want to support the show, go to, and you don't want to give a super chat, go to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. Drop me a coffee. I'll read whatever you write on there before the show's over. Buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. Even one coffee makes a big difference in my life. Or go to our clothing shop at truthclothing.io, where we have great shirts. I have a Bitcoin shirt on today. You can also check out our Question Everything shirts. They're all super high quality. They're in stock, ready to ship, and mostly on clearance sale. So you can find t-shirts for as low as $10 plus shipping. So check it out. And you can even get free shipping on orders over $60, I believe. So check it out. Go to truthclothing.io. Buy some t-shirts. If you want to buy them in bulk, reach out to me. You always can. And I will let you know. I can give you a deal, actually. I can give you an even better deal than we're selling them for. So anyway, that's it. Buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil to drop coffees. You can become a member there to give an ongoing donation, which is really appreciated, or you could just drop an individual coffee and leave a note. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. And thanks for the super chat earlier from Laurentius. No, he was after the NFL. I know you're saying he was after the Blackstone lady. That was a conspiracy theory, but he left a note saying it was after the NFL because of his brain damage. He shot himself in the chest so they could examine his brain. I'll stay on the Jewish topic. The Israel topic. Here is Piers Morgan. I haven't watched this clip. He apparently has done a 180 on it now that everybody's seen the starving children. So here's this.
I believe, given the scale of what Hamas did on October the 7th, Israel is entitled to
kill children.
No, that's not what I said.
Go ahead.
They're entitled to defend themselves with force. I don't like any civilian death.
Do you mind if I answer?
I don't endorse any civilian death.
Well, no.
Do I
don't condemn it though.
Hang on.
Yeah.
No, and here's why. Because I support Israel's right to defend.
A few moments later.
I don't think actually the Israeli government cares about the plight of Gazans at all. The reality is, so far, about 70% of Gaza has been completely destroyed. The remaining population have been herded around now into ever smaller pockets of what is remaining there. You've got people like Smodrich, hard right members of the government, openly talking now about cleansing Gaza of Palestinians, which would be ethnic cleansing. He wants to kick them all out of the country. Then I hear Israelis say, well, he doesn't speak for the government. He's the bloody finance minister. Of course he does. And so you've got people like this saying, well, yeah, we're going to cleanse Gaza of all Palestinians. And then I get people on like yourself, and you come on and you say, no, that's not the plan. No, we just want to help the Gazan people. And the last thing we want to do is kill innocent people and so on. And yet somehow you've managed to kill over 60,000 Palestinians, having lost 1,200 on October the 7th, a horrendous terror attack, which I've condemned from the moment it happened. You've now killed 60,000 plus Palestinians. You've got 20,000 children who've been killed. You've now got starving and emaciated children, images being beamed to the world on an hourly basis, many of whom are now beginning to die literally of hunger. And this is started by a 3-month blockade, deliberate policy of a blockade, starving the innocent Gazans of food and water and aid and other things. And you put it all together, and you now have almost the entire world looking at Israel saying, what on earth are you doing?
There you go. So people are turning around. Here's a clip of somebody talking about what happened there.
Look at this boy. And when he got there, he thanked us for the remnants and the small crumbs that he got. And he sets them down on the ground because I was kneeling at this point, and he sets his food down and he places his hands on my face, on the side of my face, on my cheeks, these frail, skeleton, emaciated hands, dirty. And he puts them on my face and he kissed me. He kissed me and he said, thank you, in English. Thank you. And he collected his items and he walked back to the group. And then he was shot at with pepper spray and tear gas and stun grenades and bullets shot at his feet and in the air. And he runs away scared. I was on the inside of the site. So there's berms that surround the site. So I couldn't see outside of the site. So the last group of people, women and children and small children and kids and children and babies, are leaving the site. And as they're leaving the site and they get to the next intersection, I hear machine gun fire. It startled me because I didn't know what was going on. So I ran up to the berm. You see the berm behind him there. I ran up to the berm so I could look. And I run up to the berm and I get down and I'm kind of like in a covered position, and I'm looking like, oh, what's going on? I thought we were being attacked. And the IDF were shooting at the crowd, and I'm shooting into this crowd, and Palestinians, civilians, human beings are dropping to the ground, getting shot. And Amir was one of them. Amir walked 12 kilometers to get food, got nothing but scraps, thanked us for it, and died. That's what we're doing.
There you go. So we're the ones involved in delivering the aid with the Israelis. So everybody, the whole world has now taken a stand. I mean, the important ones, France, because of the Security Council in the UN, which is France, the UK, China, Russia, and us. They're all going to recognize Palestine, and we're going to be the only ones left who won't. So, and even Trump has come around and says that and he's contradicting, Netanyahu says it's not happening, that they're not starving children. That's what Netanyahu says. And that's what apparently a lot of people believe in Israel. But Trump has changed his tune on that because he's seen images now. So here's Trump talking about it. And he doesn't like to see children suffer, fortunately.
Ask about the First Lady. You mentioned a couple of weeks ago her role in talking to you about the war in Ukraine, and perhaps a big part of your evolution in thinking. Have you discussed the crisis in Gaza and the terrifying?
I have, and she thinks it's terrible, and she sees the same pictures that you see, and that we all see, and I think everybody, unless they're pretty cold-hearted or worse than that, nuts. There's nothing you can say other than it's terrible when you see the kids. And those are kids, whether they talk starvation or not, those are kids that are starving. They are starving. And you see the mothers, they love them so much. And there's just nothing they seem to be able to do. They got to get them food, and we're going to get them food.
There you go. So he's going to get them food, but then he still wants them to get kicked out. I mean, he wants to get them food, but then he's still going to support Israel and probably ethnically cleansing the rest. I think he wants to get rid of them all. Probably. I mean, just to be fair about it. He doesn't want to see them starving for now, but I think they want to deport basically all 2 million Palestinians from the area and then annex it. So here is, so journalists haven't been allowed in Gaza because of Israel. They control Gaza along with our help and our money. So, and this is the State Department recycling fake stories.
Very quick question. IPC said today what's going on in Gaza is famine. And the reason they didn't classify it as such is because they need the actual data and they have to be in Gaza to collect that data, which Israel prevent them. So my two questions.
Well, let me just say, as you know, I might, is that there is someone preventing people from getting into Gaza, and that's Hamas. Hamas is preventing everyone from being able to get in there, whether it is reporters, whether it's food deliveries, or those who might need to assess the nature of what's happening on the ground. People are afraid of a terrorist group, the masterminds of October 7th, which slaughtered babies up to the elderly, when they're living, dismembering them, putting a baby into a microwave, murdering women as they're raping them. That set of people are running the Gaza Strip.
Fake stories.
So it's understandable why people are concerned and can't get in. It is not the Israelis who have been defending themselves in this framework and who are ready to sign a ceasefire deal and have been ready for weeks to do so.
Well, in fact, the Israelis are preventing everybody. They control the area, but that's another issue. My question to you.
There you go. The Israelis control the area. They're the ones not allowing media in there. So, and the rape stories were already debunked. The children in ovens stories were debunked. So she's in the Pentagon, in the State Department, recycling all the fake stories, pretending as if Hamas is the one stopping people from getting in there. So, and Israel, the IDF is the one that shoots at journalists and kills journalists and stuff. So, and they're the ones that control the area right now. So anyway, that's the news on Israel right now. The whole world is turned against them, including, not including Trump. He just says that food should get in, and he's going to allow, I think Cindy McCain is in charge of UN food getting in. So we'll see how that goes. They're trying to ban stock trading and it passed out of congressional committee today, the Pelosi Act. It passed out of committee and Trump seems to support it. He might sign it. So I'll play the clips from that. I have Senator Hawley, who is the main guy, saying that people shouldn't be trading individual stocks, even though they're allowed to, even though it's not technically insider trading. He's saying they shouldn't be allowed to have stocks and they should just be able to have mutual funds and so forth. So here is Senator Hawley talking about it today. And then I have Trump. And then I have Ron Johnson, who thinks it's a bad idea, actually, to stop stock trading. So here you go.
Say that we have an opportunity here today to do something that the public has wanted us to do for decades, and that is to ban members of Congress from profiting on information that, frankly, only members of Congress have in the buying and selling of stock. 86% of Americans say that members of Congress should not be able to buy and sell shares of stock, individual stock, while they are members of this body. And they are absolutely correct. And the reason is, you can see it, there was just another ethics referral in the House last week. We've seen the former Speaker of the House make millions of dollars in profits. We've seen members of both parties, I'm sad to say, be investigated for their stock trades. And the reason for all of this is that, quite frankly, members of this body are privy to information that the normal person just is not. Now, is that insider trading? It is not under the laws. Sometimes people say, well, we already have insider trading laws. We don't need a stock ban. Well, the information that members of Congress are privy to is technically not covered by the insider trading laws, but nobody really believes that the information that we get isn't valuable. It is quite valuable, which is why back during COVID, you saw members of Congress of both parties engaged in a flurry of stock trading right after they were getting COVID briefings. Were members of the public getting those briefings? They were not. Were members of the public privy to the kind of information that was being given to members of Congress? No, they were not. And so when you look at what members of Congress are privy to, what they are able to trade on, the access that they have, it's just qualitatively different than your average Joe or Jane, which is why we ought to put into place common sense guardrails that say, if you want to be a member of Congress, You can put you want to save, great. You can buy mutual funds, you can buy broadly diversified investment vehicles. You should not be able to buy and trade individual stock shares, in which frankly we have an interest in the work that we do. We have information that no other people get, no other members of the public have. This bill would finally redress that.
There you go. So that's the Pelosi Act. Apparently it passed. Trump says it's a good idea and that Pelosi should be investigated. So I'll play that.
You know, Nancy Pelosi became rich by having inside information. She made a fortune with her husband, and I think that's disgraceful. So in that sense, I'd like it, but I'd have to really see I study these things very carefully, and this just happened. So I'll take a look at it. But conceptually, I like it. And what I do think is Nancy Pelosi should be investigated, because she has the highest return of anybody practically in the history of Wall Street, save a few. How did that happen? It happened by she knows exactly what's going to happen, what's going to be announced. She buys stock, and then the stock goes up after the announcement's made. And she ought to be investigated. You know, Nancy Pelosi became rich.
So I don't know if that means he'll sign the bill. Ron Johnson says it's a bad idea. I'll play that too. Ron Johnson says it's a bad idea.
We make it very unattractive for people to step up to the plate and run for office or potentially serve in office. I tried hiring a retired CFO many years ago. This after the passage of the Stock Act. Would have been great. I could have had somebody really expert in international taxation, that type of thing. I could not find anybody willing to do it. So this piece of legislation, really, it's legislative demagoguery. You know, we do have insider trading laws. We have financial disclosure. Trust me, we have financial disclosure. The press pays attention to it. So I don't see the necessity of this. I can imagine all kinds of unintended consequences. You could relabel this law, quite honestly, the Career Politician Protection Act, because it'll make it so unattractive for people to give up their business, sell it, unless some ethics committee says, oh, no, there won't be a conflict of interest. I mean, there's when we pass a tax law that lowers tax rates, we all benefit. It's just an inherent issue. So again, we have plenty of protections. We have the disclosure. This is a completely unnecessary piece of legislation. It's going to create all kinds of unintended consequences. Senator Scott just pointed out one of them, just one of them. So again, I voted no last time. I'm a strong no this time, even stronger this time.
There you go. So he says nobody's going to want to work for the government if they pass that insider trading law or the Pelosi Act. So we'll see where that goes. I don't know. I thought they were all on vacation, but I guess there's somebody working. Maybe it's just senators. Must just be senators. Yeah, because they don't go home on vacation. So that's what it was, a senator committee. But it got out of committee, passed 8-7, the Pelosi Act. So I have that. Here's Mark Zuckerberg's letter about superintelligence, personal superintelligence. I'll read it to you so you guys can decide what it's like. Basically, I don't know what's going to happen with AI. I guess nobody does. But the idea is that when it gets to superintelligence, it'll be allowed to manage things for us. And it's going to create a lot. And they're just pouring shitloads of money into it. Meta, they're building these huge data centers with hundreds of billions of dollars, which is taking all the power. And we don't have enough electricity, basically. Like, this is the future right now. Is everybody was complaining about how much electricity Bitcoin uses and stuff. These data centers, like what Elon Musk built something called Colossus, which uses all these GPUs, uses like a gigawatt of power. Meta is building something that's as big as Manhattan with a bunch of computer chips in it that's going to use 5 gigawatts of power. I have a feeling power is going to become more expensive because there's a limit to how much power is available. And we don't have nearly as much as the Chinese. The Chinese have been building a lot of power. and they're on a trajectory to have way more power than us. And a lot of it is through solar power fields, which we can do too. We just removed the incentives to make solar power, but you don't need incentives for it because it's profitable and it's immediate and it makes more power. But Zuckerberg is spending hundreds of billions of dollars. He's paying employees like $100 million a year. He's giving $100 million signing bonuses to people to come work for him to build his AI, which he hopes to turn into super intelligence. So this is his view on it. I'll just read it to you. Personal superintelligence. Over the last few months, we have begun to see glimpses of our AI systems improving themselves. This is what's going to happen. It could happen at any time, kind of. Is when they figure out how to get the systems to improve themselves, then it can improve itself, and it can start doing that at an incredibly rapid rate. Like, it's an exponential growth curve, what this AI is, and people can't anticipate the growth. So that's why people say that it's going to be the end of the world by 2027, basically, because the super intelligence is going to evolve. But it could happen almost in a moment, because once it learns how to improve itself, then it can improve itself and then improve itself and improve itself and do it really, really rapidly and become super intelligent to the point where it's thousands of times more intelligent than human beings. And it's all, and we don't actually understand it anymore. Like, it's so smart, like we don't know what it's doing. It's like comparing us to a dog or something, or an ant. It'd be like comparing us to an ant. So it would be like an ant's view of the world compared to a human being's view of the world would be like us compared to super intelligence. And improving itself is the important thing. He says over the last few months, we have begun to see glimpses of our AI systems improving themselves. The improvement is slow for now, but undeniable. Developing super intelligence is now in sight. It seems clear that in the coming years, AI will improve all our existing systems and enable the creation and discovery of new things that aren't imaginable today. But it is an open question what we will direct superintelligence towards. In some ways, this will be a new era for humanity, but in others, it is just a continuation of historical trends. As recently as 200 years ago, 90% of people were farmers growing food to survive. Advances in technology have steadily freed much of humanity to focus less on subsistence and more on the pursuits we choose. At each step, people have used our newfound productivity to achieve more than was previously possible, pushing the frontiers of science and health, as well as spending more time on creativity, culture, relationships, and enjoying life. I am extremely optimistic that superintelligence will help humanity accelerate our pace of progress. But perhaps even more important is that superintelligence has the potential to begin a new era of personal empowerment, where people will have greater agency to improve the world in the directions they choose. As profound as the abundance produced by AI may one day be, an even more meaningful impact on our lives will likely come from everyone having a personal superintelligence that helps you achieve your goals, create what you want to see in the world, experience any adventure, be a better friend to those you care about, and grow to become the person you aspire to be. Meta's vision is to bring personal superintelligence to everyone. We believe in putting this power in people's hands to direct it towards what they value in their own lives. This is distinct from others in the industry who believe superintelligence should be directed centrally towards automating all valuable work, and then humanity will live on a dole of its output. Okay? So that's what they're talking about. The other people, it's true. Like, they're going to create this wealth by doing all the work and having the proprietary systems, and then he says, on the dole, and then they'll just redistribute wealth, and it'll be like communism, basically, out of necessity, because machines are going to do all of the work that makes money. I guess he's talking about something different. At Meta, we believe that people pursuing their individual aspirations is how we have always made progress expanding prosperity, science, health, and culture. This will be increasingly important in the future as well. The intersection of technology and how people live is Meta's focus, and this will only become more important in the future. If trends continue, then you'd expect people to spend less time in productivity software and more time creating and connecting. Personal superintelligence that knows us deeply, understands our goals, and can help us achieve them will be by far the most useful. Personal devices like glasses that understand our context because they can see what we see, hear what we hear, and interact with us throughout the day will become our primary computing devices. We believe the benefits of superintelligence should be shared with the world as broadly as possible. That said, superintelligence will raise novel safety concerns. We'll need to be rigorous about mitigating these risks and careful about what we choose to open source. Still, we believe that building a free society requires that we aim to empower as many people as possible. The rest of this decade seems likely to be the decisive period for determining the path this technology will take, and whether superintelligence will be a tool for personal empowerment or a force focused on replacing large swaths of society. Meta believes strongly in building personal superintelligence that empowers everyone. We have the resources and the expertise to build the massive infrastructure required and the capability and will to deliver new technology to billions of people across our products. I'm excited to focus Meta's efforts towards building this future. So there you go. Either for personal empowerment or for replacing large swaths of society. So that's the possibility, though, is that it would just replace us. So I don't know what kind of jobs you guys do, but artificial general intelligence combined with robotics should be able to do almost anything. And one of the things it can do really well so far is computer programming. And it's going to be better, it's going to start replacing jobs pretty soon. We're going to see that stuff happen pretty soon. So Lulu UCNA says AI may help the rich, may only help the rich. They don't care enough about the masses to change society for everyone. Well, that's the danger. Yeah. Is it seems like the rich are going to be in control of it because they have the resources to make it happen. So, all right, let me show you this one alien story. And then we'll wrap up. Here's an alien story that's going around. Speaking of our destruction, 2027, that's what people say. That's when aliens are going to make contact with us. But this is a story actually from a long time ago. All right, I'll play you this.
There's this 23-year-old kid named Rafael Perez, and he's out of this airport in Chimalacán, Mexico. And this kid, he's going to fly on his own for the first time. So he takes off at 9:15 a.m. And right away, he notices that it's very foggy. So he really has not really a good sense of where he is. He can't quite find the airport. And so he tries calling in with a radio. He doesn't really hear back from them. It's sort of garbled static. So he takes the yoke and he tries to bank the airplane left. But the airplane doesn't go left. It just continues flying in a straight line. The plane begins to climb, and he's not making the plane climb. The plane is climbing on its own. There was like this huge cloud that he was basically flying into. He can't see anything, and he passes out. He wakes up in the cockpit, has no idea how long he's been asleep for, but he's immediately shocked that, holy cow, I did not crash the plane. He also looks out the window, and there's no more mist or fog. It's actually just the open ocean underneath him. And he looks at his clock and it says 11:30. Took off at 9:15. It's below 3 hours. The amount of time that has transpired that apparently I was asleep for is not enough time for me to arrive over any body of water. In addition to that, he looks at his gas gauge and it's at 3/4 tank. And he knew that not only is that way too high, but he wouldn't have had enough gas to reach any water body. And as he's coming to like, what's happening here? Somebody chimes in over the radio and goes, hey, are you there? And he grabs his radio and he's like, hey, I fell asleep in my plane. I don't know where I am. And the guy on the other end, he's like, hey, this is Carlos. Are you alone in your airplane? And Raphael's like, of course I'm alone. Where am I? And Carlos is like, listen, you're just off the coast of Acapulco. And for the last hour, you've been flying out over the water. He arrived off the coast of Acapulco now an hour earlier. It takes 3 hours to get there. He apparently did it in about an hour and 15 minutes. He lands at the airport in Acapulco. And as soon as he gets off, there's these people in suits that are there to meet him. And they immediately take him and they drive him to a hospital. They drug test him. He's not on drugs. And they also have a psychologist come in and they give him a profile, make sure he's sane, and she determines that he is. And so finally they say, okay, we're going to tell you what happened. When you showed up off the coast of Acapulco, you showed up on the radar screen of who you were talking to. And he talked to you for an hour while you were out over the water, and it was recorded. And I'm going to read to you the first thing that Raphael said to Carlos. The pilot is speaking, but not of his own free will. We are using him as a microphone. Your equipment is too primitive. It is not important who we are or where we come from, only that we are inhabitants of the same universe. For the next 30 to 45 minutes, the voice being projected through Raphael talked about humanity is the only intelligent species in the entire universe that uses warfare and conducts violence on each other, and you are poised for a nuclear holocaust, and you may be exterminated if this continues. And then at about 11:30, Raphael wakes up. No one has any idea how Raphael wound up over the coast, and the Mexican government quickly took this story, buried it, and now you can only access it in this obscure library in Mexico.
There you go. That's the story. So I've heard that before, right? They're worried about our nuclear annihilation. So, which could happen with AI if it takes over, because they want it for military dominance too. So I would share alien and AI stories together. All right. I checked my coffees. I did not get any so far, but you can drop those anytime, even after the shows are over, and I'll read them on the show. That's at buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. Thanks again for the $1.99 super chat from Laurentius earlier in the show. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and I will try to come back to you tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in today. I will try to come back tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time for the regular show. And I appreciate all you guys. Thanks for coming in. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. All right. And for now, that's what it is.